Hi, welcome to Recovery Rocks. I'm Jim LaPierre. I've spent the past 20 years facilitating and helping to open some doors for recovery in many forms: addiction recovery, trauma recovery, and recovery from mental illness. And I've written a lot about those topics, but progressively, the young people that work for me tease me that nobody reads anymore. And if I want to connect with people, I have to shoot videos. Okay, I crave connection spiritually. I love being connected to people who are in recovery and people who are seeking recovery. And there's a sense of urgency for me because what I know is so much of what we're doing nationally to combat addiction just isn't working. I think that's evident in rates of overdose, in the fact that we're in an opioid epidemic, and in the fact that we've lost sight of the fact that alcohol and alcoholism has been at epidemic levels for decades, and the devastation continues to climb. So my goal is always to help folks remove obstacles to recovery. I can do that by being an ally. I can do that as a therapist and as an addictions counselor. But I'd also like to do that just by being available to answer questions that people have and to talk about some difficult topics. There's still a lot that's controversial, and I think sometimes we're so focused on the things that divide us instead of the things that unite us. So I want to tell you a little bit about my latest project, which is SoberNow.com. For a number of years now, I've had a growing awareness that a lot of us just aren't going to go into traditional treatment. And there's a lot of reasons for that. For many of us, we risk our professional careers by admitting that we have a problem. And for others, it's simply too expensive or time cumbersome to go into traditional treatment. We can't take time away from our families. So I created Sober Now as a home study program that's completely confidential and gives folks the information they need to get into recovery, to get started in that process. How do we start building a healthier life? So check that out, SoberNow.com, and email me, jim@sobernow.com, with questions that you have or topics that you'd like to have discussed. And we'll broaden this conversation into something that's really real. That's an aspect of old school recovery. I was talking about this with a friend of mine recently, talking about what's the difference between the old school approach of the past and the evidence-based approach of today. And I think one of the important things that got lost along the way is we're softer, gentler, kinder with people, which is nice. But what I know about especially addiction recovery is that the most important service I can provide is to call somebody out when I think they're being less than honest with themselves. Minimizing, justifying, rationalizing, those are really the hallmarks of addiction. And frankly, they're nice words for lying to yourself. That's the acronym for denial. Don't even know I'm always lying to myself. So when I call somebody out, I'm challenging their addictive thinking, and I don't do it all that nicely. What I'm most likely to do is look somebody in the eye and say, I think you're completely full of shit. And that doesn't go over well initially, but when a person takes a minute and thinks things through, they may realize or see ways in which their disease wants them to see some things a certain way, wants them to stay stuck. The adage is, my disease wants me dead, but it'll settle for miserable. So if I'm not going to have my drug of choice, if I'm not going to drink today, my disease will lead me towards anything that's unhealthy. So getting on the same page with yourself, having really, really rigorous honesty with self, and having a ton of accountability, I think are really key. Left to my own devices, my head is still a bad neighborhood. I need to be connected to people. I need to be talking about my goals, and I need to have people who kind of hold my feet to the fire and make sure that I'm doing the right thing. And in the context of recovery, that's vital. It's just absolutely vital. So again, please email me, Let's have some real conversations. Let's answer your questions and talk about how we remove obstacles to your recovery. I want to keep things very simple. To me, life is really where you're at and where you want to be, and what is it that stands in your way, and how do we get past that? So check out sobernow.com, email me jim@sobernow.com, and let's get rolling. Thanks. Have a great day.